So if you've seen any of my previous videos, I bought the MV7X, and that was only purchased just so I can do a comparison check with the MV7 that I've got because it was a suspected fake. However, I also thought it'd be a good opportunity to use these microphones whilst I still have it because I'm about to do a refund on it. As the MV7 Plus is the new generation microphone, whereas the MV7X is the older generation, it only makes sense to do a side-by-side comparison of them. I don't actually know if there's any major improvements on the MV7 Plus. One visual difference that I can clearly see though is that the windshield is slightly longer, so therefore it's pushing my mouth further away naturally, so then it would help with the popping and the plosives. If I was just to show you like this, the mic capsules look identical from this part. I haven't actually unscrewed these yet. Now, from what I can tell, the mic capsules look identical on these. So I haven't actually seen the paper's specs, but I would just assume that they are basically the same capsule. If there are any differences, they'll be minuscule, but I have a feeling they're just going to be the identical microphone. The actual bodies themselves look pretty similar. It is just this part which actually has any difference to it, really. And as before, I believe it's just to mitigate the plosives because it will just bring you further back away from it. So I'll talk into them both about the windshield at the moment. So here on my left, going through the blue XLR cable, is the MV7X. I'll pop the windshield back on. And here on my right is the red MV7 Plus. Now for this audio test, they're on a very similar mic stand, same height, pointing at an angle towards my face. I'm talking at the same distance and I'm just switching back and forth between the audio. So you should be hearing if there's any differences, only major differences at least, and if you're hearing any more plosives from one or the other. At the MV7X is XLR only. I'm doing the audio test like for like through XLR into my Rodecaster Pro 2. At the moment, they're both set to the dynamic microphone setting at 55 dB with all processing turned off. 55 dB takes me into the unity marking, which is just on the top end of the yellow area, just below red, so my audio shouldn't be clipping. Again, if you've seen my previous videos, I have actually been very transparent that I'm not an audio person, so just bear with me if I'm saying anything incorrect, and by all means, correct me in the comment section. There's not much more I can say about these two microphones when they're together because it's not really a like-for-like comparison. This would be a more like-for-like if it was compared to the MV7. The MV7 could be used as a USB microphone connected through micro USB, and that was one of the biggest complaints about that microphone, and it's one that I had, despite not knowing that I had a fake one at the time, but still was a complaint on my micro USB. It's a very outdated cable. The new release in 2024 actually has upgraded it to USB-C. I can't imagine it being changing a world of difference in terms of the audio quality because ultimately it's just a data cable. It's a digital signal. So as long as there's enough bandwidth going through, which the micro USB I'm sure has enough data output to go through, there should be no audio difference unless the capsules themselves have been changed. But that I'm not even too sure about myself. The other upgrades on the MV7 Plus is the fact that it's USB-C, is an LED light over here, and they got a slightly different windshield on here. Equally, there's a software thing called a digital pop filter. Actually, that's not actually the correct terminology for it. There's a different name for it, but it's essentially a digital pop filter, and that should help with the plosives. But that would only happen through the Shure Motive app. Whereas right now, I'm talking to you through XLR, which goes into the Rodecaster Pro 2 unprocessed. So therefore, the plosive performance between the two microphones at the moment, I would say should be identical, other than the fact that this has got a longer windshield. I don't know if this extra centimeter, I believe it is, would actually help at all. Let's actually double check this again. So as I'm holding these up, I'm talking to the microphones without the windshields at all. So therefore, if you hear any plosives at the moment, I'm just trying to think of all the P words I can say. Peter Piper pitched a podcast, which is what Tom Buck always says. Peter Piper pitched a podcast, which is what Tom Buck always says. Can you actually hear the difference between the plosive performance without these windshields? Now I'm gonna put them back on. So just to do the plosive test one more time, and that's Peter Piper pitched a podcast. Peter Piper pitched a podcast. Can you hear a lot of plosives in that? I can't check yet. I'm not wearing headphones at the moment, so I can't even tell you what that plosive performance is like. But as before, the plosives pop filter is digital when it comes from USB-C, but as before, we're connected XLR. So therefore, let's see how the mic naturally performs with the plosives. That being said, I actually haven't listened back to this myself yet, so I can't even tell you my conclusion. What I'll do, I'll just leave it there as an A/B comparison for you to review in your own time. I'm going to follow up and do another video, which I'm just be solely focused on the MV7 Plus. So if you're interested in this microphone, stay tuned for that. And I'll collate and collect all my thoughts about the microphone and its plosive performance in that review. Until then, cheers for watching, and I hope that helps.